What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video. Today we are checking out SCP-507, the Reluctant Dimension Hopper from the Exploring series. It's actually been a little while since I checked out an Exploring series video. We've been checking out quite a few Volgon videos recently, so I thought we'd mix it up. And also the Volgon video on 507 is over an hour long, and that is not something that I am in the mood to do today. So yeah, I want more of a concise overview. I don't need all the details of every SCP. You know, maybe in the future I'll watch the hour plus reaction, but for today, we're going to check out this one from Exploring series. Reluctant Dimension Hopper, what could that mean? I mean, it seems very self-explanatory. You know, he jumps through dimensions, and he doesn't want to. Very reluctant. I personally wouldn't want to. He's obviously got some kind of anomalous power that switches him through dimensions consistently. I mean, that's what I'm getting from the title. I have no idea what his actual powers are. Definitely doesn't seem like something that's fun and would definitely creep me out, considering we checked out the Multiverse Strip Club, and judging by what was on display there, other dimensions aren't very fun. But if you are new to this channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I upload every single day, so hit the subscribe so you never miss a video. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitch for gameplay throughs and join our Discord for all the latest updates on the channel. But yeah, without further ado, boys and girls, we're going to get into this video. Reluctant Dimension Hopper. Why is there some weird noise going on right now?
SCP-507. Reluctant Dimension Hopper. Most of the SCPs on the list are things alien to our existence, in one way or another.
True.
We're not sure how or why they exist, and there's little for us to relate to when discussing them. There are SCPs, however, that are in most ways normal humans.
The classic SCP,
and they need to
here.
eat, sleep, and go to the bathroom, like the rest of us. But something makes them quite unique. Most of these anomalous humans end up being somewhat depressing, in some fashion.
True.
Due to being confined for the rest of their lives by the Foundation, or their anomalous property affects them in a very negative way. It's this aspect that we'll focus on today, while discussing SCP-507. As I mentioned, 507 is a normal human in practically every way. Caucasian, blonde hair with green eyes, and somewhat overweight. He needs to eat, drink, and sleep, and possesses no special physical or biological traits.
Surely he'd be losing weight though if he's in the SCP Foundation. You know, if he's not eating as much. This reminds me of John Wick 3, if you haven't seen it, where he goes into the desert.
This is often unfortunate for him, however, as his anomalous property forces him to occasionally shift into another dimension or reality. These shifts are spontaneous, even occurring while sleeping or using the bathroom. And 507 has no control over when he shifts into another dimension, or when he shifts back.
Oof.
These alternate dimensions vary wildly, with some being only slightly different from our baseline reality, and others drastically different, featuring dangerous entities or conditions. 507's containment procedures mainly involve him being constantly monitored, and although he is allowed much more freedom than most SCPs, he is still normally confined to a Foundation facility. He has a tracking device implanted in him so that the Foundation can easily retrieve him after a shift, as he rarely pops back up where he left. After retrieval, he'll generally give a report on the dimension he visited, as well as potentially make any requests, such as a flashlight he can carry, or a gun that shoots rubber bullets. It is possible for someone else to travel with 507 if they are touching him when he shifts.
Mad.
But after the Foundation inadvertently discovered this, losing an agent in the process, they established a new protocol that no one is allowed to touch 507 after 2 weeks from him returning from a shift.
That makes sense. That's crazy. Like, it is kind of what I said it is, you know, because it is kind of self-explanatory, you know, when you read the title, but he just shifts into random dimensions. Also, if you're touching him, you can go with him. Now, that, for many reasons, is probably problematic because you don't know when he's going to shift, so you're just stuck in a dimension, and all of a sudden, you just walk off a few feet, and next thing you know, boom, he disappears again. So yeah, I don't think you want to touch him with that, in that sense. Also, they can retrieve him. I'm not too sure how they get through these dimensions to retrieve him, but, you know, maybe they have some reality-bending SCPs to do it for them.
They learned that there's always a period of at least 2 weeks between shifts,
Oh, fair play.
which gives 507 at least some time to rest safely. The main bulk of 507's article, then, is comprised of a log recording all of his shifts, since arriving in
Right.
the Foundation's custody.
That's why Volgan's video is so
There are
long.
simply too many here for me to go over all of them in detail, and likely more will continue to be added as time goes on. So I'd encourage you to read through them yourself if you're interested. In one dimension, 507 was left in complete darkness, and began to fumble around looking for a light, or a way out. But after hearing something like soft breathing nearby,
No.
decided to just stop and wait it out.
Correct.
507
Good decision. Good decision. That's probably why he asked for a flashlight.
later shifted back to what seemed like the same location, but now had a flashlight that he carried with him. He turned on the flashlight and saw a man in a business suit with an impossibly wide smile, leaning only inches.
You know what, man? I wasn't expecting it. God damn. You know what? I can't remember the last time I got jump scared like that. This reminds me of that goddamn Anomaly special from Confinement. The guy who had the big ass smile and was singing about buying anomalies.
From his face.
No.
The smiling man asked, "Back so soon?"
Oh,
causing 507 to switch off the flashlight, discharge all of his rubber bullets from his gun,
What's a rubber
and
bullet
crawl
gonna
into
do?
a corner.
I'm not gonna be that guy. I'd have shut my pants too if I saw that guy when I flicked on my flashlight, okay? That's just a given. I think most people would have shut their pants in that case. Or at least pissed their pants, okay? Whatever. But you're not gonna keep an eye on this dude to make sure he does nothing crazy to you, bro? You're just gonna fire rubber bullets. He's already creepy enough. You really want him to be messing with you now, after you just fired all your gun shots at him.
Another time, in apparently the same dimension, 507 heard muted breathing again, and began wandering around in the darkness, until he saw a light source at the end of a corridor. As he grew closer, the light grew in intensity, and 507 began experiencing a searing pain, causing him to pass out. When he was retrieved, the top layer of his epidermis had been found to be burned away, and he was wearing a pair of large sunglasses, although 507 didn't know where they came from.
See, the smiling guy is not that bad. He's just creepy.
507 traveled to this dimension yet again, turned on his flashlight, and found the smiling man in front of him, with a mysterious brown liquid leaking from behind his sunglasses.
Ew.
The smiling man asked, "Why did you do this?"
Do what?
Before wiping some of the brown liquid and rubbing it on 507's cheek, causing him to push the smiling man away. Now he noticed that the smiling man's suit contained several holes, with brown liquid trailing down from them.
Yikes.
507 attempted to shoot his pistol at the entity, but it failed to fire, causing him to flee and hide for the rest of the shift.
Is that... he fired bullets all over him? Is that why he's leaking? Is he bleeding?
In another instance, 507 traveled to a forest and grew hungry, so he ate some of the local plant life.
No, you don't do that.
The plants then unleashed some form of a telepathic scream in response, causing him to abstain from eating anything.
Correct.
The following day, however, he grew hungry enough to deal with the screams and ate some of the plants. Sometime later, 507 traveled back to this dimension, but this time the plants apparently remembered him and screamed non-stop for 4 days.
Yikes.
Later, he returned to this dimension again, but this time the plants remained silent, and so 507 climbed to the top of a nearby hill to get a lay of the land. He saw that the forest was thick with trees in all directions, and surrounding the forest was a massive blue dome. There have been a number of times that 507 has shifted into a dimension and encountered an analog to the SCP Foundation. In one dimension, the Foundation was known as the Society for Containment of the Paranormal, possessing a strong British influence, and was opposed by the Covert Occult Group and the Church of the Mending God. 507 was detained...
So basically just the same thing, but kind of different names. I'm not sure what that is. But,
as an intruder, and repeatedly questioned until he shifted back.
Bye.
Another time, 507 was gone from our dimension for 3 months, during which he encountered another Foundation equivalent, but this time managed to become a member of their personnel. 507 managed to learn about several SCPs that our Foundation did not know about, allowing them to later retrieve them, and was working in the field to retrieve another one when he finally shifted back. Curiously, our Foundation had sent an MTF to retrieve the same SCP during that time, suggesting an unusual potential connection between the two dimensions. In another dimension, 507 found that their Foundation equivalent had inverted all of the offices and containment chambers, so that the Foundation personnel were being contained due to their ability to create dangerous experiments. And the containment staff consisted of anomalous humanoids, although more docile than our reality's version.
I was about to say, there ain't no way that Abel is going to be containing people. Fucking Abel and SCP-106 and all these guys containing regular people. No way.
The facility was filled with memetic hazards and other dangers, and it is unknown how a more drastic scenario had not already occurred there. Other times, 507 has actually encountered other versions of himself.
Yikes.
In one reality, 507 found himself in the midst of a snowstorm, drastically unprepared. Before he succumbed to exposure, however, he was rescued by another man and pulled into a cave. 507 was led to an underground hot spring to recover, and was soon joined by the man, who turned out to be another version of himself. The conversation between the two is unlogged, but 507 noticed that this version of him had scarring across his torso and at the bases of his limbs. In a more notable example, the Foundation found 2 507s in his containment chamber who had been talking for some time.
That's hilarious.
Both of them admitted to encountering the smiling man, showing a potential connection between the entity and all versions of 507. Both of them had also decided not to admit which one belonged to this dimension and which one was the visitor. While talking, one of the 507s disappears, and the doctor asks the remaining one what the difference between their realities was. The remaining 507 says that in the other's reality, Lincoln was killed by his vice president, instead of by General Lee. The doctor informs him that in this reality, Booth assassinated Lincoln. We're informed that testing revealed that 507's ability has no biological basing, as severed pieces still shift along with the main body, suggesting the Foundation maimed that version of 507 in some way before he shifted back.
There's some weird noise going on, so I'm sorry for that, ladies and gentlemen. Like someone's washing machine is off balance or some shit, but yeah, that's a bit of a mad one. If you cut him up, everything just disappears with him.
Our version of 507 returned a few days later, and was not informed of the incident. Like I said, 507 is not a particularly cheerful tale, as he lives his entire life either trapped in a Foundation facility or teleporting off to an alien world.
Correct.
Some of these are nightmarish and horrific, filled with spiders, hostile aliens, or hazardous environments.
Definitely.
While others are surprisingly pleasant. One dimension was so perfect that 507 attempted to commit suicide after returning because nothing could compare.
Oof.
While 507 is ripe for creative writing due to the infinite number of alternate dimensions he could travel to, it's also interesting due to some of the questions that go unanswered, such as why he hasn't shifted into a dimension where he's encased in rock, or on a planet with no breathable air. Despite the limitless amount of potential dangers, 507 always manages to make it back home, and most of the time in relatively good spirits. Although I would never want a life like 507's, I certainly enjoy reading about it.
Fair enough. He always has an encapsulating statement at the end, doesn't he, exploring series? That makes sense. Subject arrived at the mouth of cave surrounded by almost unbearable heat. Subject walked outside cave for further investigation to find area around it was a baked wasteland. Most of the heat appeared to emanate from 2 suns in the sky. The subject could not decide whether they were extremely large or extremely close to the planet. Upon further examination, the suns blinked and turned away, taking the heat with them. Subject spent rest of his shift as far back in the cave as possible. Same. The Dimension Hopper is a smart lad. You gotta say. He's a smart lad. Because, he doesn't mess with these entities. I'd be scared, bro. I bet he shat himself multiple times. I really do. Honestly, I bet this guy has literally just, had to change his underwear when he got home many, many times. Because, yikes. Especially you see a smiling man. I mean, there's obviously multiple of him as well. So, yeah. That you have that going for him as well. Definitely a interesting SCP. Definitely not one you'd want to have It's definitely interesting, though, to read about. Exploring Series said it very well. It's fun to read about that, because it's kind of cool, but you wouldn't want to be the guy that was phasing in and out of everything. You just wouldn't. It doesn't seem like a very fun experience, you know? But, yeah, I mean, if I might check out the more detailed logs to find out more about the planets. We'll see in the future, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not 100% sure if I will. But if you enjoyed this video, man, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you all next time.